All right, let's get right into it. We're going to tackle a huge paradox that so many of us are living right now. How is it possible that two people can be working full time, making what seems like really good money, but still feel like they're one flat tire away from a total financial meltdown?
Does that sound familiar? I mean, if you've ever looked at your combined household income on paper and then looked at what's actually in your bank account and felt this huge disconnect, you are definitely not alone. It's a feeling that has become weirdly, incredibly normal. So let's put some real numbers to this. Imagine a couple bringing in a combined $133,000 a year. That puts them in the top 25% of all households in the country. They should be living the dream, right? Building wealth, feeling secure, but they're not. They're stressed out, they've got basically no savings, and an unexpected car repair has to go on a credit card. So what gives? What is actually going on here? Now, your first instinct might be to think, oh, they must be bad with money, or they're just spending too much. But what if I told you that's not it at all? What if this is a systemic trap that millions of people have fallen into without even seeing it? This isn't about some personal failure, it's about a massive fundamental shift in how our economy works. Well, there's a name for this whole phenomenon. It's called the two-income trap. And it was first identified way back in 2003 by Elizabeth Warren, who at the time was a bankruptcy law professor at Harvard. She looked at thousands of families going bankrupt and started to notice this really, really disturbing pattern.
And here's the part that just blows your mind. The core finding from her research is completely the opposite of what you'd expect. Get this. Families with two parents working were actually more likely to go bankrupt than the single-income families from a generation ago. Just let that sink in for a second. We're working twice as hard and somehow ending up with more risk of losing everything? How on earth is that possible?
To really get it, we've got to take a quick step back in time. We need to compare two totally different worlds, the single-income era of the 1970s and the dual-income reality that we all live in today. You know, back in the 1970s, it was totally normal for a typical middle-class family to be supported by just one income. But today, it's the complete opposite. A two-income household isn't the exception anymore, it's the absolute norm. It's the default setting for middle-class life. And this slide, wow, it lays out the difference perfectly. Back then, one income was enough. It covered the bills and left a little extra, a financial margin. The second potential income, maybe from a parent at home, was like this powerful insurance policy. If disaster struck, they could go get a job. But today, that insurance policy has already been cashed in just to pay the mortgage and the bills. There is zero margin for error. So you're probably wondering, where did all that extra money from the second income even go? Well, just look at this. The fixed costs, the stuff you have to pay for, have just exploded. Even after you adjust for inflation, housing costs have shot up. Healthcare, it's up more than 600%. And then there's this massive new cost for millions of families, childcare. That second income didn't go to fancy vacations, it was swallowed whole by necessities. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty, because this is the real aha moment. We're going to follow the money from a brand new second salary and watch it just disappear into thin air. So let's use a nice round number. Let's say the second partner gets a job that pays $50,000 a year. On paper, that feels incredible, right? An extra 50 grand. But that's the headline number. It's not the reality. Now watch how fast this 50 grand evaporates. First up, taxes. That second income gets taxed at your highest marginal rate, meaning the government takes a bigger slice of these dollars than your first ones. So goodbye $18,000, we're down to $32,000. Next, childcare for just one kid, that's about $15,000 a year on average. Poof! Now we're at $17,000. Then you've got the second commute, gas, maybe a second car, more maintenance. Let's knock off another $8,000. And finally, you've got the exhaustion expenses. You know what I'm talking about. When you're both just too drained to cook, so you spend way more on takeout and convenience. Let's call that a pretty conservative $7,000 a year. So after all of that, after all those non-luxury, totally necessary work-related costs, that big, beautiful $50,000 salary has actually contributed a grand total of just $2,000 to the family's finances for the entire year. And let me break that down even further, because this is just staggering. That comes out to about $8 per workday. $8. Someone is working a full-time job, spending all day away from their family for the equivalent of less than $1 an hour in actual financial gain. See why it's a trap? That $50,000 number looks so good, it hides the brutal reality. So the money vanishes, we get that. But the most dangerous part of this whole thing isn't just the missing cash. It's the complete and total loss of flexibility. You're left with zero options.
This metaphor from the source material is just perfect. A two-income family with all of its money committed to fixed bills is basically running at 100% capacity all the time. You're redlining the engine constantly, and everything seems fine until one little thing goes wrong. One person gets sick, one job is lost, and the entire engine just seizes up instantly.
And here's how the trap snapped shut on everybody at once. As two-income families became the new normal, what did we all do? We created a massive bidding war. We all ran out and used that second income to bid up the price of the same limited supply of houses, especially the ones in good school districts. And suddenly, you needed two incomes just to buy the same house that one income used to afford. The price of admission to a good public school became a mortgage so big it requires both parents to work pretty much forever.
Okay, I know this all sounds pretty bleak. It's heavy stuff. But here's the good news. Once you can see the trap, you can start to build your escape route. So how do you do it? Well, it takes a fundamental shift in how you organize your entire financial life. Here's the game plan. First, the mindset shift. You have to start treating that second income like a temporary bonus, not a permanent part of your budget. Second, and this is the absolute game changer, you have to structure your big fixed costs, like your mortgage and car payments, so they can be completely covered by one of your incomes. Third, you bank the entire second income, all of it. It goes straight to an emergency fund, to investments, to paying off debt. Think of it this way. Every single dollar you save is you buying back a piece of your own freedom.
Now look, I'm not gonna lie, this is tough. It means resisting that huge pressure to upgrade your lifestyle right away. But the payoff is immense, because within 5 or 10 years, that money you've been saving starts to compound and grow on its own. That's when you start to build genuine, rock-solid financial security, not just the fragile appearance of it. And this really sums it all up, right? The two-income trap isn't a problem you can solve by just earning more money. That's the whole point. The solution is to understand the mechanics of the trap itself, so you can refuse to play the game. It's about preserving your flexibility at all costs. The whole goal of working harder was supposed to be about having more security, more choices, more options. But somewhere along the line, we traded that real security away for just looking prosperous. But now you know. You see how the trap works. So the only question left is, what are you going to do about it?